All right, good afternoon. My name is Michael Walters, and I'm your host for Mike Talks NY Sports. This is episode 4. Today, I'm going to be talking about the preseason games and who is potentially going to make the roster and who's potentially not going to make the roster. Also, once again, I would be talking more about the expectations for the teams and wh- who's probably going to win the championship. So, this today is really gonna be a very entertaining episode. Okay, well, this week, it for the Knicks, it has been pretty funny. Like, we finally got to see Karl Anthony Towns play against his old team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. That game was crazy because it's like yeah, it was a lot of mixed emotions in the beginning. Like, I remember I was watching on ESPN, and DiVincenzo, he just started hitting his threes, and he's there talking so much trash to the Knicks bench. He's like I think they say in one of the leaks, he was like, "That's what happens when they let you run the show," or something like that. I'm like, who is he referring to? Like, I don't know, but DiVincenzo, obviously, he was hurt because, yes, he believes he could have still been a part of the team's future despite them trading for Cat. But the only apparently, the Timberwolves, they wanted DiVincenzo. They did not want Mitchell Robinson. So the Knicks had to sacrifice to get Karl Anthony Towns on this team. So he just has to understand that it's a business overall. Yes, you're not going to get to play with your best friends anymore, but at least you got your starting role back. You were gonna have a reduced role this season, so he should just be thankful for that. And another crazy thing in that game is that we did see Cats finally hit 2 threes in the preseason. Like, obviously, yeah, in the beginning of the game, he was a little shaky, like, he was a little, anxious to see his old teammates. Yeah, it happens, but he did still play up to par. He was driving into the lanes, he was playing good defense, cutting in, just basically doing the basic big men stuff. Like, I'm actually looking forward to seeing more of the pick and roll action between him and Jalen Brunson. Yeah, like yeah, because I feel like they can do some pretty good damage with that. And also another crazy thing about that Timberwolves game is that we did see the bench play. Like, the bench has been doing very well in the preseason. Like, I give props to Cam Payne, who has been playing like Emmanuel quickly in a way, just a spark plug off the bench. He just checks into the game, he just quickly gives you good offense. Like, that's what I like about him. He could be this leader for the second unit. Also, another good player off the bench was Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet was playing good defense and hitting his shots. Like, I feel like he could be a very good addition to the team, but I am gonna go a little bit more on him later on. But he is a good player. But I'm it's just unfortunate of what it's just unfortunate about, like, what happened to him, like, the next game that I'm gonna get into after I'm done with this. Like, I don't know. I feel like he still will make the team, but I really don't know. Um, well, we also did see some good, like we did see some good performances from other Knick players like Tyler Kolek and the big man Ariel Huck-Porty. I feel like the both of them will make an impact this season, but I don't know because Tibbs is very reluctant to play rookies, so we'll see if it actually happens. I know that people have been complaining about Josh Hart, like, they're saying Josh Hart has been a little passive during the preseason. It's alright, even though he's 0 for 4 from all his attempts, that does not mean he is not going to show out when the season comes out. Yes, it looks like he is playing like a Ben Simmons right now, but he's far better than Ben Simmons. Like, Josh Hart, I feel like he's just saving his talents for the season because obviously he is like a what you could call a garbage repair guy. He's just like one of those dudes that would just hustle for the rebounds. He's just like he just got that hustle mentality. Like he just wants to help his team win. He'll do anything, even sacrifice points. That's why he has not scored any points because he feels like, yeah, I'm playing with four other dudes that can shoot outside in the 3-point line and other places. So I don't have to shoot. I could just set up shots for them. That's his mentality. You need people like that. Like in order to win championships, you need people who are willing to sacrifice their stats just to make sure that the team wins. And that's what I like about Josh Hart. Well, the next game that I saw this weekend, well, not this weekend, this week was the Knicks versus the Hornets. That game was crazy because obviously Thibodeau, he did not play the starters. He rested them that game, and we did see the bench play. Well, not all of the bench, only a couple pieces off the bench. We didn't see any of the training camp dudes like Chuma Okeke, who is currently on Exhibit 10 contract, and we have not seen Kevin McCullough Jr., who has yet to make his appearance for the Knicks. And also, I forgot about him. I forgot he was even still on this team. Jacob Toppin, the younger brother of Obi Toppin. Well, they say he has an ankle injury, but I hope we get to see a little bit more of him before preseason ends. Yeah, so back to the Knicks and Hornets game. That game was crazy because the Hornets were playing their actual roster. They were playing their starters and their bench, and the Knicks reserves managed to beat them. It's because people like McBride and Cam Payne and Shamet, they were all playing very well. Well, obviously, prayers to Landry Shamet because in the third quarter, the dude actually dislocated his shoulder and I'm like, man, like when I saw him on the floor, I instantly knew he popped his shoulder because it gave me like Julius Randle flashbacks, like from when he injured his shoulder back in January. It gave me that flashback. So I was like, yeah, he got a dislocated shoulder. So obviously, with him being potentially being out, I don't think he's making the team. Maybe the Knicks can do him good and let him stay on the team, and maybe when he does get healthy, he can return to the rotation. But I don't know. It's a little scary. It's tricky. I don't know what the Knicks' plans are. But we also did get a appearance from T.J. Warren. T.J. Warren scored 11 points in that game. Well, the chance of him making the team now since Shamet has gone down with injury, it may have doubled, but they say the Knicks are still looking into other players. Like they're interested in bringing back Marcus Morris, who was a player they initially had for training camp, but they had to trade him because well, they didn't have to trade him. They had to waive him because they had to complete the cat trade. So they may lean on to getting someone like Marcus Morris on this team. So, well, we'll see. But another good thing that we saw of this game was the debut of the Knicks' first round pick, Macomb Dadier. I remember back in draft night when the Knicks selected him, I was like, "Who the hell is he? Like, who is this dude?" Like the Knicks literally they just decided not to draft Kyle Filipowski out of Duke or Isaiah Collier from USC, but instead they drafted this random foreign like wing player from like France, and I'm like, it's given like Frank Ntilikina vibes all over again. Like you're just drafting these unknown players. But the game that I saw this week against the Hornets, Pacome Dadier actually scored 16 points. And there was one part of the game where he did not miss a single shot. Well, yeah, he did end up missing a couple shots after, but he was playing very good because I remember I saw him at Summer League. His talent was there, but he was a little raw. Well, I still feel like his skill level is still raw, but it has gotten a little better because his shot looks a little better. He looks like he's more confident on defense. So, but in terms of him being on the rotation, I don't see him being on the rotation. I think Thibodeau is gonna have him be, like, Westchester bound, like, he's probably gonna be on the Westchester Knicks this season. Maybe if someone like Anunoby gets hurt or whatever, maybe you may see him appear in the rotation, but only time will tell with him. Also, another good spot is from that game is that we saw Tyler Kolek. He was flirting with the triple double, meaning that he almost had one. He had like 7 points. I think it was like 8 rebounds and like 7 assists. Like he was looking like he was looking close to like a Westbrook out there, but obviously, he didn't have the best shooting wise game, but he did play good all around, like setting up plays for his teammates. I don't know. People say that there is a very crazy competition going on between Payne and Kolek. Like, who is going to be that backup point guard? Is it going to be Payne or is it going to be Kolek? But knowing how Thibodeau is with his veterans, it's probably going to be Payne because he has more playoff experience and he has played in the league for a good like maybe about 8 years. So Tyler Kolek, maybe next season he probably may be the backup point guard. Well, it depends. We'll see. Well, right now I'm going to be talking about potential training camp cuts for the New York Knicks. I don't know. I feel like my prediction for who's probably going to be cut is Chuma Okeke. He is well, I just already mentioned he is on a Exhibit 10 contract, which is technically a training camp deal. We've only seen him appear in the preseason once, and Thibodeau has had he's had a lot of opportunities to put this dude in the game, but he's only appeared in the first preseason game. We have not seen anything of him for the last couple games, so I'm thinking he's not making the team. Also, potential cuts may be Landry Shamet because unfortunately, because of his shoulder injury, I don't know if the Knicks are going to keep him because the Knicks, they are close to being a second apron team, so they have to shed salary to keep themselves away from the second apron. So I don't think they're going to keep Landry Shamet. Um, TJ Warren, he may make the roster, but it's like an either or. Like, cause I don't know. He's only played in the preseason 2 times, so I don't know. It's looking like maybe or maybe not. So it's like a question mark for him. Also, there's rumors going around saying that the Knicks are probably going to convert one of their two-way contract players. They say the leading player to get their contract converted to a standard contract is really the big man, Ariel Hukporti. Ariel Hukporti has actually been doing very well for the Knicks in the preseason. Like, I remember the Knicks selected him with the 58th pick in the draft. He was literally the last pick. But the crazy thing is that the last pick who is just on a two-way contract is one of the leading candidates to get a standard contract. That's how you know Leon Rose and his front office, they continue to surprise us with these crazy moves. Like they they be picking these unknown players, and next thing you know, these players are literally playing way better than all of these other like top players. Like man, like I am happy for the front office. Like, good job, Leon Rose, even though we barely see you. Yeah, good job. Well, now I'm going to be talking about the Brooklyn Nets. I haven't really been tuning into their preseason games because they've been losing all their preseason games. Actually, no, not really. They just recently beat the Wizards, but I they the Wizards are not a good team, so obviously the Brooklyn Nets are going to blow them out anyways. Yes, Cam Thomas continues to impress. Also, we did see a little bit of Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder, I feel like he'll be good as the starting point guard because he's been in the league for over 10 years. So I feel like he will bring that veteran presence to the team. Also, in one of the other preseason games, we finally saw Ben Simmons score above 10 points. He scored 11 points. That is good from him. Like, I'm like, finally, you are starting to become more aggressive. Like, that's what us as fans want. We just want to see a more aggressive Ben Simmons. Like, when are we going to get that Ben Simmons from Philadelphia? Or maybe even an evolved Ben Simmons where he hits his three-point shots. Like, when are we going to see that? Like, but it was good that he got to score more than 10 points in one of those games in the preseason. So that tells me that there is hope that he may come back to the way he was, but only time will tell with him. In terms of the Brooklyn Nets, like what their record may be, it's kind of hard, but I see them potentially being a play-in team. Maybe they may have somewhere between an 8 and a 10th seed. In terms of them making the playoffs, they're not making the playoffs. I don't see that happening. Maybe what would actually be crazy is if maybe they make it as the 8th seed, and if the Knicks make it as the 1st seed, like, bro, a Knicks versus Nets playoff series, that would be historically crazy. And I already know who's gonna win that series anyways. The New York Knicks. The New York Knicks basically owned the Brooklyn Nets. I remember a couple of years ago when the Nets had Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden. People were like, "Oh yeah, the Brooklyn Nets are gonna win the championship. They got 3 Hall of Famers." Yeah, look what happened to that team. That team crashed and burned. All of them play on different teams. The Nets are now a laughing stock. They were there making fun of the Knicks for all them years, and now the Knicks finally outshined them. Like, bro, the Knicks is a New York is a Knick town, not a Net town. Like, I would like to see the Knicks and the Nets face off in the playoffs so the Knicks can just sweep them. It's not gonna be a good games. It's gonna be a blowout every night. Like, who's gonna stop Brunson? Who's gonna stop Cat? Who's gonna stop Anunoby or Bridges? Like, everybody on the team gonna fry everyone. Like, yo, like the Brooklyn Nets, I just hope that they can get some good players for the future so they can potentially, like, maybe compete in the East because the East is very competitive. So I don't see them making any big moves in like maybe about another like maybe like 5 to 10 years. Well, for the preseason now, as I see it's coming to a close right now for the preseason. Um, I feel like both teams, both the Knicks and the Nets, they will make the right moves to you know, potentially like have a good roster for the season. I already know the Knicks are in good hands. They got a good group of young people that can work together. The question mark for me is really injuries. Like, can they stay healthy? Because injuries was a big part of why they did not succeed last season. Like, and also another question mark for the season is the Knicks going to keep Mitchell Robinson or are they going to trade him? My prediction is that they may trade him because there are rumors going around that the Knicks are still interested in other big men, like, for example, Jonas Valanciunas, and also people like Nick Richards and Walker Kessler. Well, I don't know if they're going to trade for Walker Kessler because they say Danny Ainge wants so many first round picks. Danny Ainge could just stuff them picks up. Danny Ainge could just take those picks and just go away. Like, Danny Ainge is not the person the Knicks should work out a trade with because he's going to obviously fleece them. So we don't need Walker Kessler. We already got Carl Anthony Towns, and that's the end of the story. So, and also for the Brooklyn Nets, I feel like they're just going to continue to rebuild. Like, they're going to do like what the Knicks did, rebuild until you get like a certain player that can make that impact. I don't know when that's going to happen, but we'll see. So, yeah, so I feel like both teams' futures may be a little bright. So that's really the end of what I'm talking about today. Yeah, so I've reached the end of my podcast today. It was a very entertaining episode, and next episode, I would be talking about the first game of the season for the Knicks and what are my expectations for this season. This is Michael Walters reporting from WIUR. This is Mike Talks NY Sports. Have a good day.